Hi, I'm Mrs. S from Steps to Success Maths. In this video, we're working through GCSE Maths exam questions on error intervals. We're going to start with some easy questions and work through to the hardest. Pause the video, have a go, and then we'll go through it together, step by step. A bag of potatoes weigh 15 kilograms, correct to the nearest kilogram. Find the least possible mass of the bag of potatoes. Okay, so you've got to imagine that you weighed these potatoes and then you were told round your answer to the nearest kilogram. So you've got to work out what the smallest number you could get is that would round to 15. So you're rounding to the nearest kilogram. So if you had 14 and you had to round it to the nearest, it would still be 14. So that one's too small. What about 14.2? Well, that would still round to 14. So where does it change? If you had 14.9, that would round to 15. Or 14.6, that would round to 15. So the one it changes at is 14.5. That still rounds to 15. Anything smaller than that would go to 14. So our answer is 14.5 kilograms. The height of a bookcase is 124 centimetres, correct to the nearest centimetre. Write down the least possible height of the bookcase. Okay, so same idea as last question. This time we're rounding to the nearest centimetre. So you measure the bookcase. What could it be that would round to 124? The smallest number you can think of. So if you had 123, that wouldn't work. So you need 123.5. That's where it would still round to 124. The speed of a car is 40 miles per hour to the nearest 10 miles per hour. Write down the least possible speed of the car. Okay, so this time you measure the speed of the car and you round it to the nearest 10 miles per hour. So if you had 42 miles per hour, that would round to 40, but you want the smallest one. So what about 38? That would round to 40. 37, 36, 35 rounds to 40, but 34 rounds down. So the smallest number that rounds to 40 to the nearest 10 is 35. So our answer is 35 miles per hour. There are 6 apples in a bag. Each apple weighs 150 grams, correct to the nearest 10 grams. Work out the least possible weight of the bag of apples. So let's start with one apple. So 150 grams to the nearest 10. So what was the smallest number you could have weighed it as that would round to 150? So is it 149? No, it's 145. That still rounds to 150. And then you've got 6 of these apples. So we need to do 145 times 6. Which is 870. Henry has £12 to the nearest pound. Judy has £10.50 to the nearest 10p. Work out the minimum amount of money they could have in total. The minimum. So let's start with Henry. £12 to the nearest pound. So he could have had, his smallest number would have been £11.50. Anything less than that would round to 11. Anything more than £11.50 would round to 12. Now what about Judy? She had £10.50 and you're going to the nearest 10p. So £10.50 to the nearest 10p. So think about the 50p part. You could have had 45p and that would still round to 50. So it's £10.45. And then to find the total, you need to add your two answers together. So that's £21.95. The length of a pencil case is 486 millimetres to the nearest millimetre. Complete the error interval for the length of the pencil case. So this one, we need to find the lowest value and the biggest value, we could have measured the pencil case to and then rounded it to get 486. So you're going to the nearest millimetre, so you need to go point something. So you've got 485.5 because that would still round to 486. And then now you need to think about the biggest one. Where does it change? So you've got 486.1, that would work, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, they all work, they all round down. Then 486.4999 would still round down, and it would change and round up when you get to 486.5. So that's what we put at the top of our error interval. And if you look at the symbol, you can see it doesn't have an equal to on it, which means it's everything that's less than 486.5, because we know that's when it changes. A banana weighs 113 grams to the nearest gram. Write down the error interval for the mass m of the banana. So think about an error interval. What does it look like? And I always put it on my answer line first. So m in the centre, and then the symbol less than or equal to, and then the symbol less than. So then you've got your smallest one on the left-hand side and your biggest one on the right-hand side. Remember, the error interval on the right-hand side, it doesn't include the equal sign, and that's really important to get your final mark. So what's the smallest number you could have written down that would round to 113 when it's to the nearest gram? So that's going to be 112.5, and the biggest number is going to be 113.5. That's where it would round up, so we want everything less than that. A dog weighs 13.2 kilograms. The mass m of the dog is to the nearest 100 grams. Write down the error interval for m. So again, write the error interval in first, m in the middle, then your two symbols, and remember this one on the right does not include the equal sign. Now you need to understand the rounding. So you rounded it to the nearest 100 grams. Where are 100 grams in this? So it's this 0.2. This 2 represents 200 grams. So what's the smallest number you could round to the nearest 100 and get this 200 grams? Well, it's 150. So you need 13.15 for the 150 gram part. And then if you go to the other side, above it, you've got 13.25 for 250, because that's where it changes and rounds up to the next whole number. So you've got 13.15 and 13.25. Error intervals can be tricky. So that you can keep practicing, I've linked a free worksheet with worked solutions. Remember, I'm covering the whole of GCSE Maths. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out.